Ahoy, hi everybody. Apologies for the darkness and everything. As you can see, I'm sat in my car. It is 4:58 on Saturday the 26th of February. And I'm on my way to Comic-Con. So I'm going to try and vlog this. One thing I have forgot to pack is my microphone that I plug in, so I'm relying on my phone's built-in audio, so apologies for that throughout this vlog. But yeah, let's head to London. Well, it's just after 8 o'clock and I've finally got here. Unfortunately, the M4 was closed coming off the M25, so I had to go on a diversion, which added about at least half an hour to my journey. And then I had to come a funny route to the car park because of roadworks, but I eventually got here. And yeah, now let's go and join the queues. And that's about as far as I got with vlogging, I'm afraid. I just felt a bit self-conscious doing it in the con, so didn't, basically. Especially because the first couple of things pretty much I wanted to talk about were rants, and I didn't feel it was the right place to be doing that. But we'll get onto that in a second. So yes, I got there, so about 8 o'clock, met one of the girls from work, Andy. Andy was going up for the whole weekend with a couple of friends, but the friends were only doing the Sunday at Comic-Con. So, oh, apologies for that, I damaged my finger at work, so, got a hole in my finger, lovely. Anyway, so she asked if she could tag along with me for Saturday, so I met her outside. The way it was done this year, the foyer into the general hall, which is where it was held, you had to queue to go in there to pick up diamond passes, and gold passes went in there and they went from there straight in. But then diamond passes, you then had to leave there and go to the big queue in the National Hall, which is sort of adjacent to and links through, which was literally just being used for queuing. They announced that they would be opening both doors basically at 8 o'clock. So it seemed like perfect timing. Joined the queue. Because of exhibitors getting in, they didn't open the queues for diamond passes until 8:20. So that was bad enough. So I was already annoyed, because if they've advertised at 8 o'clock, they should be open at 8 o'clock. Plus, that meant 20 minutes of people going into the main queue who weren't getting diamond passes, making the queue longer when we get to that, which we'll see in a minute. So, eventually we got let in, and even then, they had two people basically dealing with diamond passes. One person scanning, or two people, that's a lie. That is a lie. They had four people. They had two people scanning your tickets, and then two people finding your passes. They could have done with a lot more, basically, but they decided to set up in the little ticket booth there, rather than on big long trestle tables like they used to. So, as I say, yeah, it took quite a while to get through. At one point, they suddenly decided to split us in half the alphabet on one side, half the alphabet on the other side. Unfortunately, the person who they asked, who, to be fair, was a member of security, not a member of Showmasters, didn't know his alphabet. So, what's his surname? Harris. Well, that's between A and O, isn't it? Is that in between? Is that? Oh, just stay where you are. And he clearly couldn't work it out. So, anyway, eventually got the passes. First, very tiny gripe, didn't bother me, but I know it did bother others, was they didn't give us anything to hang the passes on. So the passes looked like this. So they're a hole punched at the top so you can hang them from a lanyard or similar. In the past, they used to give us one of those metal chain, like you get with dog tags, to put them on. So you can wear them around your neck and you don't have to worry about losing them. But no no such thing this time. Certainly no lanyards, which they give away with the gold passes, or they certainly used to. I don't know if they still do. So if I'd have known, I'd have taken a lanyard, basically. So they were in my pocket all day. My Richard E. Grant one did fall out at one point. Thankfully, A, I'd already used it all, and B, Andy spotted it, and I managed to grab it. So yes, I had gold passes for Jodie Whittaker and Richard E. Grant. Richard E. Grant was quite a late decision. It was a bit more than really I wanted to spend on him, but I decided I wanted to be certain of getting autograph and photo, so I went for the Diamond Pass. Jodie was a no-brainer. Jodie's announcement was the reason I was going. So I managed to get number 23 for Jodie. I was a little bit jealous of Andy, who booked hers much later, because she had number 319, which, for my regular Prince fan viewers will know, is a title of a Prince song from my favourite Prince album. So I would have quite liked to be number 319, but it meant I would have had to wait around longer to get everything done, so I was glad of the low number, really. Richard was number 103, but that wasn't an issue at all. So yeah, picked those up. So then we had to go through to the National Hall, through the bag checks. Fine, no problem, and no objection to that. Then they had two entrances for day passes, which is what I had, and then another one for a weekend pass, which is what Andy had. So if you go through the weekend pass, you were tunnelled through a slightly different section where they had a lady giving out wristbands, and it's still slightly on here even after 2 washes. If you went through the day section, you were hand stamped so that you could come and go as you pleased. So yes, then we got there, got in, snaked around the queue, and by the time we actually stopped at the end of the queue, it looked like this. So quite a few in front of us. Not masses, certainly not as busy as a summer con, thankfully. But we weren't there long before there was an announcement that it was now open. Which shows, because it opened at 9, which shows how long it took to get through the Diamond Pass rigmarole. And then we slowly started snaking our way in. So back to the Diamond Pass rigmarole. See, in the old days, when they introduced the Diamond Passes, you used to go in the hall where you were queuing, and as you went in, before you went through the bag checks and everything, there was Diamond Pass pickup. And they had 5 or 6 tables, alphabetised, so A to E, F to, or whatever, and whatever your surname was, you went to that one, and they had them all there right in front of you, and it took maybe, possibly 2 or 3 minutes queuing time, depending on how many people were in front of you, and then about a minute. Sorry, cat's just crashed through the cat flap. All right. She's got a friend who doesn't play as fair as she probably wants. Sometimes they get on fine, sometimes she comes crashing through the cat flap running. So yeah, it'd take about a minute to pick up your stuff, and then you could go and join the queue. Originally they used to give you your, what in most days was only a print, but then they changed that so you could pick that up inside whenever you liked, which is the best way of doing it. And then you join the main queue, and maybe it added 5 minutes before you joined the queue, but this way, even ignoring the 20 minutes but it was late opening, there was still probably another 15-20 minutes in the queue, so not a great way of doing it. But yeah, so we went in and we basically got our bearings, found where the guests were, grabbed any virtual queue tickets that we needed, which was only a couple for me. I think it was only one for Andy. Yeah, I think so. Had another walk round, worked out where everything was, and then it was basically, sorting out what we needed to do. So I had my first photo shoot at 10, I think it was. Then I had another one at 10:20, and then another one at 11. Yeah, I think that's right. It's something like that anyway. Andy's first one was at 11. So we had to scoot round, and then I went to my photo shoot while she went round the stalls. So the first photo shoot was with Richard E. Grant, who, as I've already mentioned, I had a diamond pass for. By the time I got over there, they were going in already, and I sort of flashed my diamond pass to the blue shirt, to the crew member there, and he put me in right at the front entrance, so I was above the non-diamond pass scum. Joke. So it went in. As I went in, my phone started ringing, and I looked, and it was my mum. I thought, I can't have my phone in here, so I cancelled the call, and then I noticed she'd text me, and the car park had rung her to tell her, because had rung here home, because my mobile is a work phone, so I don't give out the number on a lot of things, basically. So I'd put my home phone number on there, and they'd rung here to say that my lights had been left on, which confused me, because when I stopped in the services just before coming into centre of London, the services on the M4, once I got back onto the M4 after the closure, I'd switch my lights off, I thought, because it was light enough and I didn't need them anymore. So that confused me. But I went through the shoot and had my shoot with Richard E. Grant. His body language made it clear he wasn't open for, I'll say open for contact, but I'm just about to say something that sort of contradicts this. However, one guy did go up to him, reached out for his hand, and Richard sort of reluctantly shook his hand, and the other guy sort of kept hold of it and held it during the photo, which I thought was a bit off, personally, because he clearly didn't want that. But for the rest of the time, he was sort of stood with his arms behind his back, so I just sort of copied that when I went next to him. But, you know, there wasn't a huge gap between, like there was with some other guests. And, you know, in this day and age, I understand any preference from the guests. So, yeah. But, you know, so I said hello and, you know, thank you, and the usual quick niceties that you do in a photo shoot. Picked up my photo, which I'm very happy with, and it is this. So then I had to head straight over to my next photo shoot, because Richard E. Grant was in photo shoot B, the other two were in photo shoot A, which was the other side of the hall, but it was only maybe a minute's walk, if that. It's not a huge distance. Sent Mum a text apologising for not answering, explaining why, and saying that as soon as I'd had my next photo shoot, I'd go and sort it out. Message Andy saying, slight change of plans. After this shoot, I need to go to the car park. Apparently I've left my lights on. She said, oh, can I come with you? It gives me a chance to have a vape. So I thought, fine. So I was batch... What batch was I? Batch 2? Yeah, batch 2 for Mandip Gill, who plays Yaz in Doctor Who, for my photo shoot. And by the time I got over there, I was allowed to just join the back of the queue straight away, which is good. We were stood in the queue for quite a while. It was still about 10 minutes at least before the shoot was scheduled to start. But eventually we got moving and went in. Mandip was lovely. She was hands-on, you know, you could put your arm around her. She was posing with people, all sorts, you know, that sort of stuff, as if there was no pandemic whatsoever, if you like. So yeah, that was very nice, and she was lovely and very warm, and this is my shoot with her. And as I turned to thank her as I left. I was sort of like that close to her, and had to do everything in my power to resist leaning in and kissing her because she's gorgeous. Anyway, so picked up shoot, messaged Andy. Well, I'd messaged her just as I was going in, saying, right, I'm going in, so I'll be about 5 minutes. Came out, and I had a, where are you? Message. And where he said we'd meet, by the pillar. Okay, what's a pillar? Big metal pole that holds up the ceiling. Oh, okay. I'm on my way, and then she turned up. Bless her. So we went to the car, and when I flicked it off, I must have only flicked it down to side lights rather than completely off, which meant they'd been on side lights all the time I was sat in the car park on the M4 services as well, and then they'd been stuck on side lights sort of for a couple of hours between getting there. I mean, it was now about 10:30, so 2.5 hours ish. So I flicked them off, and of course straight away tested the engine, and it started. So I thought, oh well, that's fine. Messaged Mum, don't panic. I've sorted it. The car started, no problem. Went back in, and by now it was 11 o'clock, which was when my shoot for Jodie Whittaker was due. So low number diamond passer, just straight in the queue, no problem. Because for those of you who don't know, with a diamond pass guest, they call diamond passes, which is a pass that guarantees you photo, autograph, a gift of some sort, and then depending on the guest, a talk. So they called the diamond pass get priority over everyone, apart from people with special needs, you know, the special need passes, so disabled people, etc. Which I guess is fair. It does irk me ever so slightly, because I know there are some there who go to every con, who claim these passes, who don't really deserve them. I can't say too much, but I know it happens, and everybody knows it happens who's regulars on the Showmasters circuit. So they sort of don't have to pay extra for the expensive priorities, and then they end up getting shoved in front of people. But anyway, then diamond passes in order of purchase, if you like. Then gold passes. So gold pass people get let into the venue 5 minutes early, which means they can grab, for diamond pass guests, they still need a virtual queue ticket. I'd now need to explain a virtual queue ticket, but they still need a virtual queue ticket, but by going in 5 minutes early, it means they can grab a really low number, so they got more chance of being seen. For other guests, they don't need a virtual queue ticket, they can just join the back of a queue at any time, and they get priority in photo shoots. So non-diamond guests, they go in first. Diamond guests, they go in after the diamonds. Virtual queue ticket is for the autographs. It's basically a little raffle ticket, if you like. Wrong trousers. Trousers. I've still got one of them, I think. No, don't know what happened to that. Little queue ticket, basically, it's got the name of the guest and a number, and that is your place in the queue. So you can go off and do whatever you like, and then they call you in batches, 0 to 20, 0 to 50, 0 to 80, and you can go any time after your number's been called. Right. So being a diamond guest, diamond pass, I could go straight into the queue because I was number 23, so it was a nice low number. So I was in and through quite quickly. Following the announcement of Jodie's pregnancy at the Brit Awards, the general consensus was that she'd want separation. She'd probably be sat down because she wouldn't want to be on her feet for a 2 hour plus 2 hour photo shoot. Then she had another 40-minute joint photo shoot with Mandip, and then another hour photo shoot at the end of the day. So everybody presumed possibly a screen, if not a screen, at least distanced. and she'd probably be sat down. No, stood there, arm round, doing whatever you wanted. Wonderful. So went through, got my photo of her. She was a quick, "Hi, you alright?" I said, "Yes, thanks." Pose, "Thank you," go. Picked up a photo, and both of us were pulling a very similar funny face. And don't know why. But I like it. It's not a, type of funny face. It was just a cheesy grin type funny face, as you can see. Andy also had Diamond Pass for Jodie, but she was number 319, as I've already mentioned, so she had to wait a bit longer for hers. So whilst she was waiting to get called and go in, I had a little wander round, very little wander round, and then I plonked myself down where she could find me and had a snack bar and a drink and just eased my feet for a bit. But then we came out of there, and that was all my photo shoots done, so all I had to worry about for myself was autographs. Andy also had some autographs she wanted to get, but she had more photo shoots. Andy's not the most organised person in the world. As her manager at work, she did sort of rely on me to be her manager there as well, and I was, in charge of where she had to be and when, basically, and what to do, which was fine. It kept the day busy. So I think next, I might be getting things in slightly the wrong order. Next, actually, Andy went and met... Or had she already done that? Doesn't really matter, anyway. Andy went and met Guy Henry, who I possibly would have met because... I don't watch Holby City, but I see a fair bit of Holby City. My mum watches it, and because it's on a Tuesday, it's normally on when I get in from work and we're having dinner. So although most of the time we're actually watching that day's Richard Osman's House of Games, recorded from earlier in the day, I do tend to see a snippet of Holby, and back when that wasn't on, I used to see a fair chunk of Holby. So I've sort of like him from what I've seen from Holby, and he's done lots of other good stuff as well. So he was somebody I was sort of tempted by, but he was £25, and that was a bit more than he was worth to me. I'm not saying he's not worth £25, but to me, or for me, he wasn't. But yeah, she met him. He seemed lovely. He had a nice chat, and she came away buzzing. And then she had a photo shoot with him, which was funny. So I was waiting, and she was in the queue to go in. And the shoot before had been Sylvester McCoy in his doctor's gear. Basically, Bernard Cribbins was meant to be there, but he'd cancelled last minute. I hope he's all right. I hope it's just an age thing. He wasn't up to it. I hope there's nothing more serious. So they filled the slot with Sylvester doing an extra photo shoot in costume, which was a late announcement, so it wasn't overly busy from what I could see, but it gave, they obviously had enough people to warrant doing it. But anyway, he comes out in full costume with his crew member to walk back to the green room, and as he sort of walks out, some guy cosplaying as Stephen Toast from Toast of London and Toast of Tinseltown came along carrying 2 pints of beer, and Sylvester just went, "Oh, thank you very much," and tried to grab them from him, and then carried on his way, which was funny. It's something you only ever see at Comic-Con. Then Guy Henry walked past, and he is huge. I'm guessing he's about 6'5". And he is, I think she's 5'2". I think we've had this conversation before. So I just thought, oh dear. I knew he was tall, but I didn't realise he was that tall. Andy went through. She came out. He crouched down to me, she said. And you can see the picture. It's portrait picture. That was me working out what was landscape, right? What was portrait. It was a landscape type picture. So you could see that he was crouching down to get alongside her, which is quite funny. So then he scooted around, did some more bits. it was, it's lots of waiting around, as it always is. By this time, most of the guests were on lunch. But then Andy had bought the joint photo shoot with Mandip and Jodie. I was tempted because, sandwiched between two beautiful women, who wouldn't want to be, but it was 120 quid and I'd already bought my diamond pass for Jodie and I had Mandip separately, so I couldn't really justify going for it, although when I saw Andy's photo I was very jealous. But she was batch 4 for that, so I knew she'd be a while getting through that, so I took the advantage then to have a proper look round. Decided on a couple of things. I only ended up buying one thing, but it was a couple of things that I thought, might get that. And then I took the advantage. Harriet Walter, or Dame Harriet Walter, should I say, came back from her lunch break, so I grabbed her, not literally. She was lovely. So the guy in front of me was part of the, I think anyway, Showmasters team who do the pre-sales of autographs for people who can't attend. So she had a stack of pictures, and it was all post-its on each one with, 2 whatever, black ink with an arrow pointing to where they wanted it, and all that sort of stuff. Character name and everything that she had to do on it. So she was wading through those. I was, fine. I had no problem waiting. I had nothing else to do. And you could tell when she got to the end of it, she was sort of relieved she got to the end of it. It wasn't loads, it wasn't a stack of 50 or something like that. It might have been, but by the time I got there, it was maybe 10. But yeah, she got those done. So then put a photo down in front of her, and I had a little chat, very little chat, but about Spanish Princess, which, again, regular viewers may know I have watched the first series of. I have series 2, I haven't watched it yet, but she is magnificent in that. And I complimented her, and she said, "Oh, it's a wonderful part," she said. But yeah, she was really nice. Signed my photo, and this is it. So then it was more scooting around, waiting for people to come back from breaks. There was a couple of Doctor Who minor guests who I was considering getting, but decided against, largely because they had no post photos up. Signs up. Most guests did. It's just getting so prevalent because they're trying to sell the photo shoots. But the problem with that is, I just realised I missed the first person I met. Problem with that is that lots of those people had photo shoots early in the morning. There was a few people who I might have got photo shoots with, but they clashed with Jodie's, so I didn't want to bother about running around, so I thought, well, hopefully I'll get a table photo. So if they've already had their photo shoot, let them do photos at the table, because people can't go back in time and buy a photo shoot ticket. And as it is, I'm sure I'm not the only person who thought, if I can't have a photo with them, I'm not that bothered, I won't bother getting their autograph. So I'm sure they would have lost money on that. But anyway, there's 2 or 3 of those who I didn't bother getting in the end. One of whom was Ashley Walters, who I only really have seen in Doctor Who, although he's obviously done a lot more. But my friend Sam messaged me this morning, and she met him, and he wasn't very nice at all. She was not impressed. So I'm quite glad I didn't. Earlier, one of the things, when I was trying to work out the order we did things, I did meet one of the people I had to get a virtual queue ticket for, but I managed to get through quickly. And that is Colin Salmon. So Colin's been in so much that what I really wanted was a solo Bond shot. As you may or may not know about me, I don't like getting photos of people signed with other people in the picture who I can't get it signed by, if that makes sense. I've got sometimes it's unavoidable, or some I thought, well, there's a chance I might get them, and then never got round to getting. But I wanted a solo Bond shot, but they had one with him with Pierce Brosnan, and one with him with the whole MI6 crew. Moneypenny and M and Q, I think. But anyway, so I opted for a Doctor Who photo instead. He was having a really good chat with the people who he was seeing as I picked my photo, but the next few people, including myself, he wasn't so quick on, but he was getting ready to go to lunch. But yeah, he was very pleasant, very nice, complimented my Prince t-shirt I was wearing, and this is a photo he signed for me. Okay, so back into rough routine. So Andy then had... Did Andy have anything then? No. So then we tried for Mandip, because we tried our numbers were in range, and we tried to join the back of the queue for that. It was only about 5 or 6 people, but they were cutting it off because she was going to lunch and then a photo shoot. So we came back to try Mandip again, and there was just a massive, massive queue for her. What I think the problem was that people hadn't been going up to get her autograph earlier in the day because they were busy getting Jodie, basically, for her photo shoot. So they were increasing the numbers to get people through, but then suddenly they were calling up to 230, I think it was. And probably about 200 of those people hadn't already met her, if that makes sense. So everybody was descending on it. So we just thought, sod it, we'll try again later. So I then grabbed my Richard E. Grant autograph, which was part of my Diamond Pass. So I went up. The queuing system slightly confused me initially, but then I worked out what was going on. I hadn't decided what photo I was going to get from him, but he had a nice solo shot from Doctor Who. So I thought I'd get that. I was tempted by Withnail. Went through, and he said, "Oh, hello again," which is always a winner. If they remember you from a photo shoot, you think, that's a plus for me. Just asked him how he was, basically. I didn't have much to really chat to him about. But he signed a photo. I said it was a pleasure to meet you and thanked him. I noticed the guy before shook his hand, but then he put hand sanitizer on straight away. So I thought, again, he's obviously not comfortable doing that, so I won't bother. But yeah, so I was pleased to get that, and this is what he signed for me. Then Andy was able to get... Basically, she wanted autographs from everybody she got photos with. So she had 2 more shoots booked, which was... Well, she had Bernard, but obviously he cancelled. Which was Sylvester McCoy and Colin Baker. So she had a while before Sylvester's photo shoot. So Sylvester wasn't back from lunch, but Colin was. So she went round to meet Colin. She'd brought a print with her with all the... It was a very nice print with all the doctors there. Relevant Doctor Who logo. All done as a nice design. It's very nice, and her plan is to get it signed by them all. Went up to Colin, picked up a photo off the table, got it signed, came over. I said, "I thought you were getting your print signed." Oh, well. So I said, because she'd already thought she was contemplating getting her photo with Jodie Whittaker signed rather than one off the table, and I said, "You do realise you'd have to pay for that separately on top of your Diamond Pass if you're getting your print signed as well." Oh, okay, I'll get my print signed. So, well, now you can decide what you want to do. So we had another little scoot, and basically I was waiting, A, for Mandip, and B, Jodie wasn't back signing until 3:20. So it was a lot of waiting around for that, purely because she was in shoots and lunch break and what have you. She'd done a bit of signing at the start of the day, but then they had 90 minutes to get everybody through, basically. So we had another scoot round, but then by then Sylvester was back. So Andy joined the queue for Sylvester and went and got him. And this time she did get her print signed. So then she said, I will get Colin to sign it. I'll get him another day. So, okay, fair enough. She then had to go off for her shoot with Sylvester. So while she did that, I went and got Jodie. It was about 3:05, and they were letting us queue up ready for when she came so they could go bang straight into it. There's no personalisations, which is understandable, given that they had so little time. And went through the system and managed to get Jodie. So yes, picked up a photo off the table, which I really liked, and went through, and it was all very, close the gap, close the gap, close the gap. But once you got to her, although she was, signing quickly, you could have a quick conversation with her. So I complimented her on the film Adult Life Skills that she starred in, that I watched last year, which is a wonderful film, and she is brilliant in it, which is what I told her. And she said, oh, thank you, that means a lot. That's a very special film for me. I mean, it's got a special place in my heart, I think she said. Thank you ever so much. Handed my photo back, and off I went. As she handed it back, she did slightly smudge the autograph. It is only slight, and because she did it, it sort of still means something to me, if that makes sense. Almost like, that's part of the autograph because she did it. I know it's weird, but it means it doesn't bother me, basically. If I'd have done it, I'd have just been really annoyed, but as it was, oh well, she did it, But yes, this is it anyway. So then Andy had got out of her shoot, so I went and found her, and she was over by the big dinosaur, picture of which is here. And so we thought, right, we'll try Mandip again. So we went over, and there was still a massive queue, but it quickly became apparent that really they were sort of a sub-queue for the queue. So I spoke to the guy who was controlling the back of that queue, and he said, oh, go and speak to either the guy in the red shirt or the guy in blue next to him. So I went up to the guy in the red shirt. So red shirt is sort of a tier system. You've got the blue shirts, and the red shirts are above them. And they were calling up to 2:30, I think it was, and we had 152 and 155. So I sort of flashed my tickets to him, and he said, she's going off for a photo shoot. We're trying to get as many people through as possible before she goes, but I can't let you join the queue just yet. Speak to him, the blue shirt guy. So I sort of waited because he was speaking to somebody else, and then they sort of had a conversation between them, saying, we'll have to hold it, we'll have to hold it. And I still wasn't sure if all that big long queue was people in that, who were like us waiting to be added on, or they were just waiting tentatively. But the queue went down a bit, and they said, anybody, with tickets below 2:30, and a couple of people put their hands up. So I said, oh, can we go in then? And he said, what number's he in? 152, 152. Yeah, fine. So at this point, I thought we weren't going to get Mandip because I knew there wasn't much signing time left for her on Saturday. She is there today, Sunday, but as I record this, not going there myself, I wouldn't have been able to get her. Anyway, joined up, met Mandip Gill again, because I had a photo shoot, but she was lovely, really chatty, friendly. She's a, oh, cheers mate, that sort of person, which is really nice. Discussing what time I'd been up since and stuff like that, and I've complimented her on her performance in Doctor Who. But yeah, she was really nice, and this is what she signed for me. So then that was it. I was done. Andy still had to get Jodie, where she was for later. They had 350 diamond passes, I found out, they'd sold for Jodie. So, because obviously Andy was 319, that meant she would be quite late in the diamond passes to be called. Again, diamond passes went through first, then gold passes would have gone in. Well, it would be virtual queue tickets, but low-numbered virtual queue tickets, which should be gold pass holders would have gone in, and then the rest. They weren't anticipating seeing anybody who didn't have a diamond pass, where time was so tight. I don't know if they did or didn't. But I sort of left Andy instructions for that, and then I said, and then you got your Colin Baker shoot, but that's after Jodie's gone for her shoot, so you can't miss Colin Baker. And she was, oh, my feet hurt, I might miss your Colin Baker shoot. It's up to you, but you've paid for it, you might as well have it. You can just, once you've got Jodie, you can just sit down until it's time for that shoot. You don't need to walk around. Yeah, I'll see. So I don't know what she did, actually, to be fair. I haven't spoken to her this morning. But I did notice that she then actually went back to Colin Baker and got him to sign the print. And that's what she got Jodie to sign as well, and it looks really good. But yeah, so I was done. So I headed out to then I went and bought my one purchase, which is a mystery box, a Doctor Who mystery box, which I will be unboxing later this week on the channel. I just realised, as I noticed how long this video is, major rant time that I missed. Earlier on, when we were looking for things to do, we went and picked up our Diamond Pass gifts from the info desk. So, initially when we bought out Diamond Passes, it was always plus an exclusive print. And they were things like these. So nice photo paper, nice collages, or just nice solo shots, but, you know, branded and with the name of a show. And although personally I don't really have any use for them, they were sort of too big to want to get signed because of this, you know, for display issues. But they're nice things to have, and I quite like to keep them. This one's on, not on photo paper, it's on, well, it is photo paper, but it's not proper photo paper. They sort of moved away from that slightly for these. Then they moved to gifts, and occasionally it was a print, but for Christopher Eccleston I had a little mug with a quote from him on. He's sort of the last quote of him as the Doctor, and branded London Film and Comic Con. And then at the last one I went to, although I didn't have any Diamond Pass guesses, I sort of had a nose to see what they were giving away, and they were mugs and cups, you know, thermal cups, USB sticks, all sorts of really nice quality stuff. So I was sort of expecting something along those lines. For Jodie, we were given this print, which is on flimsy paper. No branding, nothing to sort of indicate that it's something special. So as you can see, I've quite happily squished it to get it home. And this TARDIS badge, which is okay, but it's nothing great, nothing mega expensive. Given we're sort of paying now about a 50 quid premium for the Diamond Pass, they could afford to give it something fairly decent. And then for Richard E. Grant, I was handed this. I thought, oh, journal. Okay, I wonder how they, you know, what design is it? Expecting maybe a with nail design, you know, maybe a quote saying, you know, I've come on holiday by mistake or something. You know, a good gift for him would be a wine glass, you know, bring us your finest wines or whatever the quote is. But no, this is clearly, oh no, okay, I'm going to take it back ever so slightly. When I sort of glanced at this, I saw that and thought it was a Star Wars one. I thought, well, he's only in Star Wars for 5 minutes. What's the point of that? Now I'm looking at it properly, less angrily. That's his character from Loki, isn't it? So, alright, I'll take it back ever so slightly. But still, it's a journal. I mean, it hadn't even got a pen or pencil with it. It's got a little envelopey type bit of a bag. It's quite a useful thing to have. It's not quite, now I know it's not a Star Wars one. Not that I've got anything against Star Wars, but I didn't really feel it was appropriate for him. it's a bit better than I thought it would be, but I'm still not overly impressed. I just turned to Andy and just said, "What a crock of shit," and that just cracked her up. And I just had a rant basically. You know, we used to get quality stuff, and we got flimsy paper print. You know, Jodie's been announced for a couple of months, so you have plenty of time to come up with something. You know, even if it's just a mug with the rainbow on it or something like that, but. Or, you know, a cup with that, or a USB stick with that on, or anything like that. But no, we get a crappy, cheap paper print, and I can't even see where I've put it now. I've lost the TARDIS badge, and I don't care. Where's that gone? Anyway, I'll find it. Oh, there it is. I mean, you know, it's not even got St John's Ambulance writing on it or anything like that. Oh, anyway. It's probably something they'd give away with any Doctor Who one they do now. Anyway, so, little rant there. So I left, and I went back to the car, and battery was flat. So it obviously had just enough charge in it to start over once, and because I didn't sit there and let it run for 5 minutes or what have you, that, you know, it didn't retain enough charge to be usable. So I went up to the cabin to the nice guy who'd rung earlier in the day, who I'd thanked earlier when I'd gone and switched them off. I passed another one of the workers. I said, "Don't suppose you got jump leads?" "No, sorry." He said, "Try that cabin there. There's 3 of them in there. One of them might have it. Have some." Knock, knock, knock. I need to ask something. Oh, okay. My battery's flat. Has anybody got jump leads that can start me? No. Sorry, try him round there. So I went round to him, and it was my friend from earlier. And, you know, I said, "Don't suppose you got any jump leads or anything?" He said, "I haven't. Let me ring my colleague." Who's probably the guy who I'd already spoken to, but he rung him. "No, sorry." I said, "Well, how would it work if I ring the RAC? How would it work with them coming in and out? Because obviously it's paid car park." He said, "No, that's fine. They just come in and out and they don't have to pay because they're on a job." I said, "Okay, I'll go and ring them. Thank you very much." So, tried to ring them. First of all, the number I had on my card is no longer in use, but it says, the message was, report it online, basically. So I reported it online. Said, "You'll get regular text updates, and, you know, we'll be with you as soon as possible." So, reported it, straight away, text came through. Current estimated waiting time is 3 hours. So this was at 4:26, I think it was. But we'll keep in touch. Then I had a little one from them. "We believe you've got a flat battery. Try testing this, blah, blah, blah." No, it's definitely a flat battery. Anyway. And then I got another text saying, "Due to high winds in your area," there was no wind whatsoever, "more cars are breaking down than usual," which I didn't quite understand. "So this may take a bit longer, but we will update you in half an hour." That was the last I heard from them. 2 hours went by. I tried to ring them, and you ring. I found the right number. And it just goes through, "You need to report it online. However, if you can't get online, or it's an emergency, or you feel at risk, then hold the line and you can speak to an operator." But, so, okay. And then, you hold the line. Yeah, so I was just trying to remember how it worked. Yeah. So I held the line because I needed, I wanted an update, and it went through. "If this is a new thing, press 1. If you want an update on an existing claim, well, call, press 4. So press 4, and it starts with a load of blurb, and then it was, "This is for vehicle," so obviously it recognised my number, and read out my registration. So yes. "Do you wish to cancel this?" "No." "Do you wish for an update?" Press whatever it was. Press for the update. We are very busy, blah de blah de blah de blah. However, you are on the system and we will update you when available. Okay, so hung up, waited around. By now it's dark, it's cold. I needed a pee, but I found a quiet corner and had a pee. So I'm huddled in a blanket and I'm waiting, and I think the car park's going to shut soon. So I wandered down, spoke to my friend again, and yes, this was 7:25, I think it was, and they were shutting at 8. I said, right, okay. Yeah, he said, I can stay till 1:15, but I can't stay later than that because I'm in early in the morning. I said, no, I understand. He said, I can always try speaking to control and they might, depends who's on, they might let you sort it and leave after we're shut. But normally once we're shut, you know, you can't get out, basically. So I thought, okay, I said, I'll ring RAC again and see if I can get through to a human being. So I wandered back down to the car. And I pressed all the things so that I would get, you know, saying it was an emergency and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm on hold for 15 minutes. Just the same messages, repeating. You know, so it's 7:45. So, you know, I'm trying to work out, right, well, I can always leave the car here, find a hotel. But I thought, well, most of the hotels will be fully booked because it's Comic-Con weekend. But hopefully I'll be able to find somewhere. It's going to cost a fortune booking, you know, on the evening. You always pay full rate, so it'll be over 100 quid easily, etc. But that's what I'll have to do. And then suddenly this car comes along, and you can sort of see him looking up, and go, and he pulls out in front of me, and he just leans out and says, "What side's your battery on, mate?" Oh, that one. Hung up for the RAC. And my friend, nice guy who was helping, followed him up. And he said, oh, good, you found him. I'll leave you to it. And I said, thank you. So this guy is a colleague, but he wasn't working that day. But he'd rung him and he'd come just to start me. Bless him. He had a big Spurs blanket in his bank, so he was a Spurs fan, so I knew he was a good guy. But yeah, he started me and it was fine. So I left it running whilst I cancelled the RAC. Left, nearly stalled as I was leaving, as I was trying to get the ticket in, but just saved it, thankfully, because that would have been so bad. Sort of waved a thank you, I don't know if he saw me or not, to the guy in the booth, and headed home. Didn't dare stop, although I needed fuel and I needed food, but I thought, no, sod it, I'm just 2-hour run, should charge the battery up nicely, don't want to risk it, so just did a straight run home. I decided, rather than do the diversion around the M4 again, I thought, I'll go through Richmond and Twickenham and the M3. I knew rugby had been on, but I thought it would be clear by then, but it wasn't, so Twickenham was a bit of a nightmare. But after that, nice run home, and got home about 10 o'clock. Right, I know that's been long, I apologise. I don't think I can edit much out of it, but we'll see. But yeah, hope you found it interesting. Thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks. Bye.